Hey. It is good to watch it a second time, especially when you haven't watched it the first time.
Let's see what we can improve here. Am I supposed to sit here?
You can set it up any way you like. I'm not really here. Coach Dave.
Right. At first he didn't do nothing wrong. I mean, not that he did something wrong. Yeah, he removed the ball from the. Am I analyzing this or am I?
Just give us a synopsis. You watched it. Are you ready for Coach Dave? Why don't we just get to Coach Dave?
Yeah.
Would you like to meet Coach Dave in the flesh?
No.
How about I add the last bit? That's not an option.
That's what I was about to get to. But if my board existed.
Yeah, we do. So anything you would do before you meet the coach. So the coach has just run the session at your soccer field, and you're the director of the coach, and you're observed, and Dave's asked if he can come and wait at your club. He ran the session, and now you're about to talk to Dave after the session.
After the session.
Is there anything you would have done prior, you would have done before?
Prior, no. I would basically I would look at the session itself and what it delivers on the field. I would look at what is the word?
Demeanor? Interaction?
Demeanor, interaction with the players.
Okay, so if I come for it, if Dave applies, emails you about the job in your club, what would the process be?
Well, okay. Of course, to go to, I receive an email to resumes and references. I'll check those.
Okay.
Invite them for a field interview, which is this.
Okay? And after the field session, you would talk to him.
After the field session, yeah, definitely.
Why don't we do that?
No. Okay.
Okay. Would you like Coach Dave?
Yeah.
Okay. You would meet him at the field. It would be good at the field.
I'll probably meet right after the session.
Okay. As the parents and kids are there, or would you wait for the parents and kids to leave?
Yeah, we meet in private. Afterwards.
Just you and him.
Yes.
Okay.
It'll be just of course if I have some.
How would you set it up? Would you stand or would you sit?
I will sit.
Okay. Do you want to get him another chair? Or
Anybody wants to be the coach?
I got you, Coach Dave. You ready? Coach Dave?
Yeah. Coach Steve, please. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? How's things? Good day, good day. Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, yeah, cool. What do you want, man? Yeah? Play talk top? Yeah, okay.
Let's say this is a desk here. So can you see it over there?
I can't see it there. Do you see it?
I do. I'll help you with it. It's a desk, so I can actually face. Or yes. Well, Steve, nice to see you again.
I'm going to go here today.
So they can see.
We'll pretend I'm across the desk. Okay.
Hi, Steve.
Dave, not Steve.
Dave. Yeah. Okay, thank you for coming again.
Cool. Great session. Love the kids.
Yes.
Yeah, really good. Once we got there, brilliant. Loved it.
Yes.
Yeah, really good. Looking forward to working with them. Okay, it's just a couple of bits. I noticed, right, so what would happen is, when we were doing the session, they were playing like two up top, but very square of each other. And I know you guys, like, you know, the level of coaches have been a bit variable, and it's great that you're trying to improve it by bringing me in. But I'm much more of a false nine, like, play this guy a little bit deeper, play this guy a little bit higher, see if we can get down the sides. Is that something you'd be happy with me doing as DOC? I know you don't have this level of license yet, but honestly, once you've been through all of the courses, you'll be fine.
Yes, yeah, the session itself was really great. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't understand.
Like, as you know, we are looking for several coaches,
Yeah.
and we still have a few coaches we have seen that fit more of our profile, kind of.
Sorry, I don't understand. There are coaches you haven't seen yet.
No, we have
but they're
seen
a better
them.
fit than me.
We
You
have-
haven't seen them?
Yes, we have seen them already.
Okay, all right.
We-
You're going back on
we
what you just
interviewed-
said.
Yeah, we interviewed us. Anyways.
Oh, you're flustered.
Dave. Maybe I did get the job in Steve's house. So, hold on,
Anyway,
I have a question.
Dave.
I have a question to ask you.
Yes.
Is this about the coaching course?
Not the coaching.
Okay, come on, we both know you're on that coaching course, we both know you lost control of the room. And, you know, I understand that the dynamic between us might be difficult in the club. I'm not gonna tell anybody else at the club what happened.
That's very
I
nice
won't
of
be
you.
sharing the video either. I
Yes.
honestly,
That is very nice.
we are professionals, like, we can
I-
get past this.
I don't want to get into specifics because there's
Well, obviously you don't,
there
because
was
it's
there was this one person decision. There's a board behind the decision, and right now, unfortunately, yeah.
Okay, so give me some feedback, what's it based on? Because I'm interested, because I have elite level players who are ready to come to this club,
Mhm.
because I'm coming to coach at this club. So, you know, you and I both know that I have a relationship with your president, and he's on board with me joining the team. So,
That's all.
what is, well, you should know these things, because he called me last night saying, really excited, can't wait for you to join, and now you're saying to me, no, it's not a good fit. So, like, who's in charge, who's making these decisions? And if I have to then go back to him and say, actually, Dave, I'm not joining, what are the reasons why? Is it based on feedback from the
Okay,
kids
well,
or the session?
One of our board's concerns was like any coach can coach players to come out and pass this stuff.
Yeah.
The demeanor, the interaction with the players is the problem.
Okay.
We just felt that you kind of a little too over aggressive in a sense.
I'm not aggressive, I'm definitely structured and disciplined, but when I spoke to the president, he said that's what you guys were looking
Yes.
for. He said this season, I'll quote him word for word, this season we actually want to win a few games.
Yeah,
His words.
when it comes removing players play with a soccer ball and forcefully removing soccer ball when we actually trying to teach soccer, then it becomes.
Well, that's interesting, because if you went on a few more courses, you would know
Oh,
that physiologically, they
Where's
need
the
to warm up
meter?
those muscles before they strike a ball. Those kids were striking a ball, and they hadn't even done a single dynamic stretch. So what I was doing was preventing injury. And again, if you don't want that high level of knowledge within your club, I think you're doing your kids a disservice. Because they shouldn't be smashing the ball.
Time out!
We go ahead and
Time
do
out!
this.
Time out! So you have a couple of options because he's throwing bombs in every direction.
Yeah.
So, if you don't want him, then release him because you were going down that path. If that's what you think,
Yeah.
then that's fine. If you want him or you think he's an option, then you have to talk to him about maybe there's a difference in style. Do you want him? Do you want him to stay?
Based on the video
Based on the video.
and the interview,
Does,
no.
no.
And my relationship with the president.
Does that make a difference in the fact that you will bring players here and it will increase your revenues and it will increase your players that are playing at the club? If you was bringing 3 teams in, 3 teams pay 54 players, each kid pays $3,000 each, that's
If I knew the
that's
information, yeah, if I knew the
$162,000.
information, definitely I'm gonna bring him in, and then I'm gonna work to improve those.
So you're just bringing him in even though he's shit because of the money?
Well, I'm trying to improve his coaching.
No, you change because of the money.
Yeah.
And if that's the goal, if that's the goal of the club is to grow and grow in revenue, then
Yeah, I'm
who am I
gonna
to judge
put up
you?
with that, I'll be willing to try to.
How many
work.
of you would bring him in with 3 teams and all of a sudden, 50, how many kids, some people have got 500 people in the club, so I can increase, sorry, Steve can increase the club by 10%, just like that.
Yeah, but if he's bringing in 3 teams and then he decides he's gonna go coach somewhere else,
He'll
he
take
could take
4.
those 3 teams
He'll take 4 or
and
5.
possibly more.
But the revenue for the year will increase by 10%. So
What do we
it-
go?
it-
Yeah, but the long
Yes.
term.
Well, he needs to have
But
things
then
on.
next year,
It's gonna be
you
the
lose that.
within half. They can't
Pretty
be
sure it's not the first time he does that.
Okay, I
And I can
have
still
allow the question as an instructor. Is Dave savable? Can you redirect Dave? Is there good things in there? Is he a good coach? Can you educate and mold him? Or is he too old, too set in his ways?
First impression wasn't good, but you gotta give him a chance to talk to him, just get to know him, get to see what his background is. We haven't had.
So
Yeah.
just a second, I'll come back to it. So I had a situation at a club I worked at about 10 years ago where I had a coach probably reasonably similar to Coach Dave. And my absolute first instinct was, oh my God, I need to get rid of this guy. This guy is awful. But you know, the truth was, he was just very different from me. He was ex-military. He had a very clear and precise way of doing things. And that was the world he'd come from, and that was what he knew. He got into coaching, and he expected people to be on time. He expected equipment to be lined up like Coach Dave. He had all these things. And it was just helping him develop some softer skills. Because actually, he was a decent coach. He just didn't have soft skills. So, you know, you have to ask yourself, with some people sometimes, are they redeemable? Are they good things? Are they bringing 3 teams? Do they have a relationship with the president? Or is he just a dinosaur? And I don't want it. And that, you know, it's a role play. But you have to figure that out very, very quickly. And then also, if I do have a relationship with the president, I know I threw that on you, you have to manage not taking me in a better way about, you know, how it's done or what feedback you're giving me. I'm going to run and go call the president.
No, that's a given.
The other question I have as well is that there's a generational question, because he has matured in his years, and you wonder whether he coaches in a particular style or a particular way. There is a cultural question. Yeah, so there's a cultural question, because most people who come to this country expect it to be like their own country. And if there is a time where they go through an area where they feel that it should be that way, then realize they're not going to change 250 million people, then all of a sudden start to climatize into the country at the then. So then it's like, do you then have cultural issues that are going on? So we talked about the Ivan guy, the guy who was thrown his back. He is from Croatia. So when you play that video, your face reaction, you all smile and you're laughing, and all of you would take him, yes? No, probably, no. So the guy, Ivan, that we showed, the guy who's going crazy. So, but then you throw in the fact that with Ivan and maybe Dave, less Dave, more Ivan, Ivan produces players from his town and was putting them in Red Star Belgrade, and was producing player after player after player. He screamed at the kids. In the video, he was telling kids he was going to break their legs, and he was doing all that stuff. But parents and kids bow at his feet because he produces professional player after professional player. He has an affiliation with the pro club, and he produces players. So how much are you willing to bear, and how much are you willing to go with? Because your natural reaction when you see a Dave or an Ivan, I get rid of it. But when you go on your coaching courses, and when you get your laptops up, and when tomorrow comes, you'll all be talking about play development and doing what's needed to push kids to the highest level and spending 10 grand on a high point because that's what's needed. But you may have something that's sitting in your face and maybe a little bit unorthodox, but it develops talent. How much are you willing to go to develop talent? So would you keep them or would you get rid of them?
I mean, with all the information, yeah, of course you keep them. But if this was just a field session, an interview, and that's what you see, would you hire? If you don't have any information, like I woke up here, I received an email from you with all your credentials and all that good stuff. Once I get to the field, that's what I see. If I don't know anything, no,
So
I
to
would
come
not
back to
hire.
Andrew's point about setting it up, I think this comes back to doing your homework before you get in the room. So making some phone calls to your peers that worked with Dave in the past, and find out the good and bad, and come to a bit of a more rounded opinion. And the decision, may still be, no thanks, Dave, it's not going to work out, we're going to go a different direction, but at least you're dealing with more information.
Yeah.
And in making those phone calls, you might have found out that I knew the president, or you might, there's different things you can do that just avoid some of the bear traps. You know, if I am an arsehole, people probably know, don't they? I'm old, so I've been around a while, so people probably know. Not saying you can't pick the phone up and find out different opinions about somebody. Somebody might say I'm an arsehole, somebody else might say I'm great, but at least you have a little bit more background, I think.
Any other
That
questions?
Well, in other countries where you were talking about, that happens. When I grew up, I saw a coach, he kicked he kicked the kid's ass, and we were on the side of the coach. And like you said, if he knows he produces good players, the coach is respected. But look at Bill Parcells. Former players in football, they would say, you know, the guy's an asshole, but when he yells at you, don't look at his face, look at the message. And everywhere Bill Parcells.
You know what's college basketball? What's the college?
Bobby Knight.
On national TV, like berating, like the kid was scared at him and almost going back in. And all the colour commentators are like almost like trying to justify, you know, he's a bit of a character. Like student athlete, coach, you know, educator, like how he's dealing with young athletes is disgraceful, but everybody's apologising for it because he gets results. So it's okay.
Here in this country, you got to be very careful. I learned that. I kind of look at my manager, and I look at the mean face, and I was getting on his ass. And after that, there were a lot of coaches that were kind of, you know, this guy has a temper or something. Here in this country, you cannot do that.
And it's not just in soccer. We work in 2 weeks. We go to Colorado Springs. We work for US Olympics. So my job is we work with all of the international Olympic committees all around the world, and the main goal, the end goal, is to get votes for the Olympics. So we go and get placed in Malaysia, we go and get placed all over the world, and we help create sports. So now the Olympics are coming to LA in a few years. Our team of people, we go out and we give all free advice, and we help people, and then when the time comes, we say, can you vote for us when we want the Olympic bid, please? Remember when I work with you for free? So that's the goal, that's what I do. So in the Olympic movement, one of the things we do is we share all information, all the governing bodies and all sports share information. Cultural differences. So US Olympics, we've had a few issues over the last few years, but one of the things that they were going on in the 1980s, they were struggling with gymnastics and struggling with pushing people. So they went and found a high-performing coach from another country. They brought them in. A high-performing coach used a stick. Every time the kids got it wrong, they hit with the stick. Because in their country, that was culturally acceptable to hit. And so now US Olympics are sitting there thinking, is that allowed? He got gold medals. Is it allowed? Because the goal of the US Olympic Committee is that we have to get gold medals, and we count by how successful we are at gold medals. Nothing else counts. Gold medals. Do we keep them or do we get rid of them?
I don't have a stick. I definitely don't.
Just keep him and just try. I will keep him and just try to.
So you would keep him?
Give him a soft.
Thank you, sir.
Can't wait to work together.
Give him a phone.
Steve has left the room.
Right.
I think I got the job.
Everybody wins.
Don't. Right.
Listen, if you talk to me, I'm going to call police right now. Please. We're not going to talk to you. Please. Go ahead. Call the police. Go. Yes, please. Okay, good. Okay. Look, he took picture. I have evidence, okay? Come on, miss. People understand you. Please.
Right, where are you, Cornflakes? Everyone's like, whoa! Cornflakes, where are you? Or I can just go around the room and just pull it random. Cornflakes, are you Cornflakes? Only one! So there's one. Who else is with Cornflakes? Two! So ready, you can just call, I'll tell you what, if no one else is willing, oh, 3, 4, I was going to say, if no one else is willing to put the hand up, you can just look around the room and go, you're in my group, you do it. So that's what you can do. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of you, two of you, how you ever want to do this. You're the DOC. This happens at an event. Probably went there. The video gets sent to you. You get to see two of your parents of your U13 girls premier team accosting your referee and also calling him the devil. So I would like to know how you would handle it, and you can handle it right in front of our very eyes if you choose. Well, you don't really have to choose. But so if one of you want to come up. Right, anything, as you're talking, as you're walking, you can talk and tell me how you would set it up. Is that, would you do anything before you actually sat down with the parents?
Yes, well, first of all, if I get that video in, I will contact my coach,
Okay,
try to get some information, feedback of the game,
okay,
what kind of referee it was. Maybe contact the team parent, get a perspective from the parents,
okay,
get more background of what happened. And also, like, depending on the club where we are, like we were talking about before, parent guidelines.
okay,
Is this a normal behavior, which is the first happening, second time happening?
okay,
And then once you have that information, like reach out to the parents, if there isn't something happening, we would like to talk to any of the coaches.
okay.
We have all like the 2v1.
So you're bringing in the coach with the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, so who's your coach?
Coach?
There you go, two. I will get the parents for you.
best player, by the way, she's
Ready?
I am the parent.
Yeah. Right, I've got you two, husband and wife team.
Don't fall.
Husband and wife, you ready?
Husband and wife, well.
Here's your, meet your wife. Right. There you go. We got good teams.
So I'm guessing it's the third. What's the temperature?
Yeah, they're the best player, so.
We're doing parent meeting, right?
I'll leave that open so you can see. All yours?
I would say, Mr. and Mr. X, we brought you in because something came up to our attention about this was the last game's week game about your behavior during the game and after the game.
The referee kept calling penalty, you guys didn't do anything, really?
What did you do to the ref? Did you have a go at them guys? Because they were terrible.
My son could have scored 2 goals.
All right.
Daughter?
On the guilty.
Don't Steve.
It's allowed not. We're not here to question your daughter's gender identity, but
2 goals.
all right. First of all, before you start going on, let me clear us up a little bit, and then we can take turns. So I like to be, we want to get this done in the quiet manner. So just chatting now and this and that, your perspective and profession. First, we want to get everything perspective. All right. Okay. So I understand during the game you got frustrated with your phone calling, but you know our guidelines. Parents are not allowed to come up to the referee, talk to them, more or less badger them, call them names, be that respectful in front of them.
Well, we did it during the game. We did it after, so no one saw
But it
it.
doesn't matter. You're still representing one of our, you're still the parent role in our kids. Even us, we know, we're still on the field, we're still part of the club, you're still representing us. So even if it wasn't during the game, it was still after, it's still in the field, so it's not acceptable. And you guys already know that. If you had an issue with the referee, that's why we have our coaches there. They're the ones to handle the thing, and they're the ones allowed to come to referee. Any issues, any problems, you should have brought it up to us.
Right, hold on 1 second. What do you think so far?
Oh, it's okay.
Very one directional, okay, he's talking. Demeanor's quite nice.
I was gonna say, I like the tone. I think
Like
it's
the tone?
authority, but calm.
Now, body language, watch. So it started off, he was like this, then he leans forward and he imitates his body language. He imitates his body language, and they both, all four of them are leaning in together. So the fact that he's mirroring his body language gives him a more acceptable environment to work in, rather than sitting there like that, sitting there leaning back. Because even though you don't realize your body language gives off so many different signals, you probably don't pick up on it until you actually look and when you watch interaction. But it's amazing when you actually see it. So all of a sudden, I become more open to your conversation. The setting works quite well. If you put a table or something in front of you, then maybe then you create a barrier. The next thing is, do you do it in a public setting or do you do it in an open setting? Because the conversation is, if I think that the conversation is going to lead to crazy, do I just want it at a private place, or do I want it at Starbucks? At Starbucks, I'm not going to scream and shout and go crazy, because it's in a public place. So how you think the interaction will go will make the choice for where you actually want to do the meeting. There you go. And you mentioned that one. Policy. So the problem is that, and you've also got one role play left. So the good thing about policy is, more often than not, you didn't create the policy. If you did, you still get to hide behind it, because it's not Andrew saying no to you. It's the policy. So whenever the bad person is in the room, it's the policy, it's not me. This is the policy of the club. And especially if you are a board member, it's still the policy that you have to be following. Where you go, sir?
Alright, so now, like I said, you know, you heard what, when it comes from our end, like we talk about the policy, we talk about behavior, how we expect from you guys' perspective now. Will you please kindly, I want to hear your perspective, what happened, or what was the reason that was going on during the game that you think that got you to that point?
You go
I want to hear you.
From my side, they didn't call a penalty on my door.
Okay.
Steve could have scored 2 goals with the tape recorded for our college showcase. So that's why I was upset, and I went to check with them why, because you guys didn't do anything. 2 penalties, really?
Okay, I understand. Well, you understand that it was, you know, now it's about learning why, you know, why dealing with the penalties. You understand, we're not there to, it's not our job to define or call, you know, that's a referee's perspective, and you know, sometimes that happens. You know? Sometimes the referees don't work in our way, and we need to respect that.
And he was wrong. Someone is telling me he was wrong.
I understand that, but you know, like I said, there's a manner of respect, especially with coaches. You know, we have high standards in our coaching staff where they have to behave. They have, and you know, from that, and we have to say that, you know, even if we may not respect the calls of the referees, we need to, you know, call ourselves back, talk in a manner, and then, you know, feel like, you know, because like I said, the coaches know, right? You know, were you able to address that coach after the game?
The coach,
I mean, the referee?
the referee, no, I don't want to shout and ball at referees in front of my kids, and give that vibe back to them that it's acceptable for us to shout at referees. They don't want the kids throughout the team to do that, so they're more focused on their performances instead of referees' decisions. And if parents start to shout and ball at referees, it reacts right through the team. They don't know what to create that environment within our club. We want respect within our club, we want to respect referees, respect parents, respect coaches, and we think it's vital that we have that throughout the whole club.
Alright, so, like I said, you were seeing our behavior from a coach, that's what that's what we're hoping for the parents to be on the sideline.
I'll promise on my
So-
side, trying to do better next game.
What changed? Because you started off crazy, didn't you?
Yeah.
What changed?
I mean, they remained calm,
They did.
delivered the message, the same message over and over. Even though I was trying to throw you guys off by keep repeating like goals, this and that, but you guys stay consistent on your message and calm, so that kind of,
That made you come.
yeah, that made me kind
They
of.
didn't give you a chink in the
Yeah,
arm, that's why
yeah.
there's something to go at.
So if, that was well done, by the way. So if you have 2 abrasive parents that aren't backing down, any other techniques that you can get to disarm them? If your voice only takes you so far, your body language takes you so far, is there anything else you can think of? So think of the scenario.
Show them the video.
So you got the video, show them the video, you know you are crazy, bro. What else can you do? What else can you look at with the whole scenario? What are they?
In public.
Yeah, what are they really? Why are they in your club? The customers, yes. What are they though? What's their role in your club? What do they have that's in your club that you both share? Kids. So they're parents.
What kind of message they send, for example?
So you have a kid. Kid's 13 years of age. Kid is also referee age. How would you feel if Julie was refereeing and 2 of the parents went to Julie and acted the same way you acted? Would that be acceptable for you as a parent? I just killed you. Because if you say yes, you're a psycho. And then you're not going to. But if you go, no, then you would. As much as you won there already, it's just an extra arm where you actually can throw that in. And you mentioned policy, you mentioned code of ethics. Oh, yes?
Yeah, like, so when I talk to parents, or sometimes we have evaluations about sport performance, what we like to say, I learned that from my kid, he said, throw the ball at them. Let them self-destruct first sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
And there are some people-
something, or like, okay, well, how do you feel your kid's been doing, or have you been watching, or little, questions that are gonna make them speak up and say it, and then eventually they'll catch up with like, oh, I don't have an argument.
Sure, yeah.
So
Or you
all
can
of
have
them,
people who just keep
let them go
talking.
off, listen for key things that you could go back and,
That was good. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Good luck with your gender people.
Yeah.
Steve from the
Steve or whatever she is.
Yeah, sorry,
Right,
question?
you'll be Steve forever now.
Yeah.
Huge reaction is this because the referees need to be racist, or was not protecting the players on the pitch, and the coach didn't look like he was protecting the players.
Yeah. If that was the case, so if I'm in a game and if the referee, I don't know where the racism come from, but let's go with
No,
racism.
I'm saying that because when you like.
Okay, so if the ref's being racist and or the referee not protecting my players. Excuse me, ref, we're done. That's off the field. Go. I have the full support and backing that I believe, well, Crazy Barber is now gone. All of my parents, I've been coaching them for 3 years, all of my parents know that I act in the best interest of their children. So you know what, the game is not as important as your safety, so let's leave. We'll go, whoop, and I take my kids off the field. However, that would be a big, big move, and probably some people in the room be like, oh, I wouldn't do that, but I would.
Would you do that if you were a varsity coach?
I would do that under any circumstance.
State final?
Yeah, state final, my self-esteem is attached to winning a state cup. Really? Which one? We have 12 different ones in North We have gold, silver, bronze, bronze 1, bronze 2, champion.
Is there any equivalent that you would highly rate?
I would take the team off the field. If I thought some child was in danger or some child there was an issue on that field, I would take them off. The fact that we would keep them on. Steve Bruce did it in an FA Cup final for those who follow English soccer. But Birmingham were playing Arsenal. Ball went down. Remember the game? So Birmingham were playing Arsenal at Highbury a few years ago, and it was a throw-in ball. Ball gets put out because someone was injured. Arsenal get the ball, and they wave Birmingham up. Go like that to look as if they're going to throw it back to the goalkeeper. They throw it. Anders Limpar goes through, scores a goal. Arsenal win 1-0. Steve Bruce goes, guys, off. Let's go. We're not. No, off. Took his team off the field. That's Birmingham versus Arsenal. So if he can do it, I can do it in a state cup final. And Wenger replayed the game.
I had a similar situation like you're saying, not about racism, but I had a little kid, he was from India. And the kid, when he was gonna kick the ball or block it, his leg was strong. So the other kids were coming, and when they would encounter each other, the other kids were flying. And the coach, they come up to me, hey, you gotta watch that kid. And at the end of the game, I told the referee, hey, was our player, actually first I took him off, and then I asked the referee, why were you calling that? That was not a foul. The kid was planting the foot, he was not kicking it. So if they're getting hurt because they're not as good as this kid, what am I supposed to do? I took the kid out to avoid problems, and the others were getting hurt because they didn't want to hurt this kid. So
You need to hire Dave.
You know, people will share at you.
Get out there and do it!
Never
You ain't got no commitment, son!
swearing in it.
I am bloody sick of it!
What? None?
You ain't showing pride!
That's because you wouldn't put up with it, would you?
It ain't yourself, Dad!
I mean, people like you and me, we wouldn't stand for it, would we?
You let the team, Dad!
But then,
You let me, Dad!
we're not kids, are we?
This is the last time! The last time! Look at me!
M&M's, where are you? Last one. Who's coming up? Parental behavior, also a board member. No. That would be way too easy.
What do you say?
You said, can I be the parent? I said, no, that'd be way too easy. Right, you know you've passed the course. If you hit the instructor, that's an instant fail, okay? Here we go.
He's recording the conversation.
You want one or two? I'm assuming we started.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for meeting me here at the
No
start.
worries. No worries.
So can we have a little chat?
Certainly, where you go?
I would appreciate if you could turn down the music and we can maybe.
So you like that song?
It's actually a great song, but
Hang on,
Be assertive. Take away his phone.
all right.
Confiscate this today. I know.
There. So do you think?
Assertive.
So I will.
Really important. I know your job.
I'm gonna
I know your job.
going to give you a second.
Okay. Can you give me like 30 seconds?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a second to get your thoughts together.
I
But
can
we
do both. I've got a
really need to-
multitask, unlike you.
All right. So are you proud of how you treated your kid the other day?
Sorry, what are you talking about? What were you here for again?
Well, if you paid attention before, I thought you made a better play.
Brian, you listening?
Two hands in the air.
So,
All right, so, I mean, there's no secret about what he's going to be like, but
right.
you really are throwing gas on the fire right now, aren't you? Like, you've got to diffuse this guy. Like, the choice of words is really important. I think in these sorts of meetings,
But it's so difficult. because
it
I'm
is
an
difficult.
I apologize.
You have to realise, just one word. We've all been in these conversations where you use one word badly, and it's gone. Like, the whole thing blows up. So you've got to really pre-plan your own mind the kind of language you're going to use, and you know coming in is probably difficult. So you've got to have a much softer approach. And that doesn't mean you're soft in the end,
Right.
but you've got to disarm and diffuse them a little bit, and not let the little bobs bother you, but be really careful about using words like that might be more confrontational. Because the temperature's going up in this conversation right now. Yeah. And the only thing it's going to end in is guys coming in tight-fitting t-shirts from security at Starbucks and throwing you both out. So keep going.
All right.
Good luck.
All right. So I got a video of the last game, right? And I was wondering how you felt about you had a conversation, interaction with your kid. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on how you felt that way.
Not a problem.
Not a problem. How do you think your kid felt?
You know, sometimes I got told to treat kids like little puppies. You know, when you come home, you terrorize little bastards. And then that way you actually get them to do whatever you like. So you know what? Agassi, Tiger Woods, those parenting styles, kid needs to be told when he's not very good, he's told. And you know what? He cries a little bit, but that's not a problem. We've got a nation of pussies, so you have to toughen them up.
All right. So do you feel that after that situation, how do you feel are his emotions?
It's already
at the
there,
next-
you get over it, won't you?
Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Otherwise you probably end up like you.
So is there something? What do you think triggered that situation?
You're shit coaching, probably.
All right.
Because if you would have coached properly or you would have had a club that day good, you'd probably be training. Because I know, I'm English, so we're really good at football. We train people. You probably don't have enough English people, you American, foreign, whatever. So maybe you actually need to go in that environment, because I think that would help you also knowing.
So one of the things that it's.
Did you rip that off Chelsea? Because that looks like a very Chelsea logo. And you got the two stars in the ball. Looks very similar to Chelsea, doesn't it? Can't you come up with your own ideas, no?
I think you're part of the war, so you're, I guess.
I know, we probably change it, and you?
So, one of the things that I have noticed through time.
Sorry.
Is that normally in this exalted situation, so in this high tense situation, when you have such a hard emotional reaction, it really attacks to something.
Saying I got a problem in my life?
I'm just asking if
You really want to go down that road?
I'm just asking if you feel that your reaction
Who used to
towards
talk
the
about
kid,
my life?
if your
Who
reaction.
used to talk about my parents, and that was after 5 o'clock when the game finished. The parents had finished at 5. It's at a public field. Who are you to talk to me about parents?
I'm just asking you if you feel that your reaction.
Instructor in the room.
Yeah.
Alright. No. So, you're gonna have to stop
It's actually going quite
You're gonna
well.
have to stop
I've
it
been
tapping
slapped
because it's
before
annoying me. I don't know. So, you know, we can put all different scenarios and contexts on the back of this. There may be things going on in Andrew's life, like might be personal issues, might be other stuff that have led to kind of this, and you're feeling your way towards that. So my suggestion would be, bear in mind as a board member, maybe that's where you should have started. Andrew, I just wanted to get in for a quick chat, because I'm really concerned that you at the field, that wasn't like you. Is everything okay? Like, is there stuff going on that we need to be aware of at the club, or just I need to be aware of, so I can, you know, manage the situation with your son, like, and then you've given him a chance to open up. You've gone into a confrontational meeting with a confrontational gap.
Right.
So, you know, we do this scenario sometimes where it turns out, we flip the script, and it turns out Andrew's in such a bad mood because he's found out his wife's having an affair with another parent on the team. And like, you're now pouring oil on fire on him because like...
Matt Robinson.
Matt Robinson.
So,
He does this
so
great
we were sitting
stuff.
here and the guy was just absolutely lacing Matt, and Matt just goes, I just came home and all right, was just in bed with Brian. And the poor guy just went. And he just looked at the whole room and went.
Now the reality is, if you've started like that and given him that opportunity and there isn't anything, now you have a basis for talking about it as not unacceptable, but like inappropriate behaviour, because you have some context. So he's dug his own grave then. If he's like, no, everything's fine, it's just a normal day. It's like, okay, so you are an arsehole. See, from that premise, but that might be a better start for you, like everything okay, like anything I can help with, like, you know, what's going on, I just wanted to touch base. Making it that a little bit more, he's a board member. I never forget that. Like, so you got to feel your way in there a little bit. And you got to stop him tapping, please. Yes.
Yeah.
Alright, so tell me that everything is okay. as
Everything's
you're
fine.
mentioning.
He steps on the line, he gets a slap, we move on. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
So you were part of the procedures and the policies that were written.
Yeah,
and
you know
the
what?
behavior.
I got this policy, why don't you shove it up your ass? You're not a big enough man to stand up? You want to just keep sitting down? Do you want to go get your wife and I'll talk to your wife? Maybe that'd be a better, bigger man to actually talk to.
I think we need to.
I'm so sorry, by the way. So sorry. I'm going to sit back down even after. He's such a nice guy.
Alright, taking it in. Couple of things. Anyone live in a reported state for child abuse or child neglect or child violence? He just told you that he hits his kid. Yep.
It's only open hand.
Always go for the body, the ribs don't, and the bruises don't show. So, here's the problem. Like, you may have to report that.
Right.
Alright, so, depending where you are, and we can go into we should all report it, whether a reported state or not, that's your personal choice. If you want to go that way, I would report it. But, so on the one hand, you could argue, you need to get this to an end fairly quickly, fairly cleanly, go next door, pick up the phone and do whatever you got to do. That's one part of this scenario. The next bit is well done for not standing up. So there's a couple of been great ones over the years. He once picked a guy who was, I think he was a New York cop, wasn't he?
And he had a gun.
And he had a gun.
was 6'5".
And he stood up and he chest bumped down.
And I moved and I'm like, whoa, whoa! And you feel a few people go like that with their hand, and I'm like, oh.
He was really into the role play, and Andrew stood up and he saw the threat and he went.
Oh, he did, yeah.
So, you know, you did really well with the body language, because as soon as you stand up, it's on, it's done.
Yeah.
So you have to remain calm. Now, you know, it's all about context. So a few years ago, I'm going back quite a few years, Derby County in the English Premier League got themselves into so much trouble in this sort of situation, releasing a kid, and the parent went over the table at the academy coach that was releasing the kid, and the club ended up suing the club for like loss of earnings, saying there was no process of how they did evaluation, how they did their release, and it changed the whole evaluation and release process in the academies because it wasn't done properly and these meetings weren't handled properly. And now there's all sorts of rules in place about 2 people, about proper logging and everything else to avoid exactly that. People standing up and going chest on and it turning into something else. So you did really well there. He's not, I mean, come on. Who this weekend doesn't want to slap Andrew? I mean, it's a free go. I mean,
You had a free
roll.
Just lost the window. Okay, how do we end?
Alright, I think that this has escalated enough. I just don't believe you are ready to listen. So I think we just gotta cut the meeting and
Why don't I
we'll
just
have
cut the
to-
contract, because I can just go on Monday and I can get you fired.
So if that's what
Because
you
you
need to
just
do,
assaulted me.
if
You
that's what
verbally
you
assaulted me,
if
and you went
that's-
to physically assault me.
So this is what we'll do.
Hang on,
I'm gonna
I'm gonna
walk
stop
out.
for 1 second.
Alright,
I'm gonna,
let's keep.
I'm gonna get off as fast as I can. So, is it 1-on-1 again?
No.
Is it 2-on-1? Is
It
it
should be-
is it
it should
another
be
board
2-on-1.
member?
Yes.
And I didn't know
Or the
I was
president.
going to get to this point.
Yeah.
But it's, you have to protect you, especially if I'm a lot older than you, we're around the same age, so we're okay. But if I want to be condescending even more, yeah, around the same age. You're a lot younger than me. So if I want to be condescending, if I want to go after you, this is a very difficult position, especially as a board member, especially if I've got control. You're already seeing how manipulative I am with my own child. Imagine what I'm like in the other world.
Why else is a board member great to have in there? Not just a 2v1 element, but an actual board member.
Just no one higher than the board member.
But they're equals, you can't threaten them, kind of, they're equals.
There's some empathy and relationship there. It's like, come on, should we all build this club together? We wrote the policy together. This isn't like, so all of a sudden, it's not you against you, it's, you know, come on, as a group of 3, we've got to work this out. Like, you know how this is. So another board member there, as long as you've spoken with a board member before and we're on the same page about how this meeting's going to go, another board member can be a huge help to you to build into a relationship, build some empathy, you know, get into a resolution. The other thing you need to have clear going into the meeting, what's the outcome? What's the policy? Is he banned from the field for a game? Is he... Now again, if there's personal issues, it might be, you can hide behind, you know, Andrew, this is what we're going to do. Take yourself away from the club for 2 or 3 weeks. I.e. you're banned for 2 or 3 weeks. Take some time, work out your personal issues, and then, you know, love to see you back at the field, blah, blah, blah. So you have to have an end point, because so many people go into these meetings without a clear idea of what the end point is, and then there's no resolution. He walks away pissed off, he's going to get
And
fired.
the other conversation we had as well, we were talking about bylaws and we were talking about policies. Most of us in the room said we'd never read the bylaws. What happens if the suspension of the parents or suspension of a board member is a board vote? Yeah, you have to count votes and you have to try and get other people who I'm making friends with to vote me out. So maybe that's one of the reasons you look at your constitution and bylaws and see what it is. I'm going to leave it there. Oh. Any questions over that one?
Would you put that in writing at the end? Like, how would you do that? Something like that happens, like.
With the board member?
No, for example, he says, oh, so we're gonna leave it, you're not gonna show up at the field for 3 weeks. Do you put that in writing? How do you?
I think it's got to be a mutual, well, not a mutual decision, but it's got to be a mutual agreement, so I would have the board member right. Unless, back to the initial, one of the things about this whole course is the organizational structure of how you set up your entity, or how you are in your entity, allows you to do all of those things. So in my entity, I can remove board members. So I have that option, but probably many of you don't. So that becomes another hurdle to get over. We talked about contracts, we talked about parents, we talked about board members, we talked about policies and guidelines, we talked about all of those things, where all of those have to be set up in a way which enables you to do your job, because if that's part of your job, and talking to a whole board member probably is, then you have to put a policy in place that is cast iron enough not to get you fired. Because if you're at 1099 and you're having that conversation and I'm sitting there, I can flip a board very quickly and I can have you gone. 1099 independent contract, you don't have a contract. So there's got to be, I understand Matt Robinson, who love Matt to bits. You don't live in my world on a day-to-day basis. He doesn't live in your world. Very knowledgeable about all the stuff he does. Amazing friend and an amazing guy for content. But Matt, you don't live in my world.
I love the word discretion, at the so-and-so's discretion in these sorts of policies. Because if it's a black and white rule in this club that he's out, then you have to follow that black and white rule, whether it's a board member or not, and that might be a problem.
And that's my fundamental problem with boards, is the fact that I may be on a board to cater to my own child. Vast majority of boards are. I am a board that dictates sometimes which way you go as an organization, which is another problem. I may, talking about my own child, self-interest again, I can manipulate board meetings to get what I want on my chosen team. In my world, a perfect board, as we talked about with some guys, I wouldn't have any parents on my board unless they were a working committee of some sort. I don't need a board of parents that aren't qualified to lead an organization. If we were talking with the Red Star guys, because we're in California, if they were close enough to me, why wouldn't I have them on my board? I know all of you sit in probably a same kind of area, but if you've got someone from New York or someone from wherever, and they can be on your board and they have a lot of content, a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience, why wouldn't you have them on your board? Because they're going to give you an objective viewpoint. One other thing, boards. So I read bylaws and constitutions all the time and I edit people's bylaws. We meet every month. Why? Because that's what we've always done. Why? Change it. Why do you need to meet every month? If Disney aren't meeting any month, why do you have to meet every month? We talk about, what do you talk about? Oh, the colour of the Red Sox. Why? I can make that decision. So now it's a quarter meeting, so you have 4 meetings a year. So then you adopt a different business model and a different board model where you're not having 12 meetings every month, which doesn't waste your time and you can spend more time on the field. 4 meetings a month, 4 meetings a year then gives you more option of hiring, if it was my good friend in front of me. So I bring him in 4 meetings. I can do 4 meetings a year. I can give you an hour and a half. I can give you 6 hours a year. But I'm not giving you, 18 hours a year. So, different options. Strategic thinking, after this weekend, hopefully it changes your mind and it moves you away from the soccer field and it gives you an idea of what else is out there. We talked about Google, we talked about Yahoo. All of these businesses start to look at strategic thinking and strategic planning. In order for your business to be successful, which is what you are, and you have a product called soccer, we look further ahead. So when we put 5-year, 10-year strategic plans together, it's because we're planning for the future. We know that the schools are going to double and outgrow. We know that the population is apparently going to grow by 120,000. We are friends with the state, we are friends with the planners in town, and we have inroads to the council. So we know all the things that are coming on. We know where the movement of people's going. We know where the new business is coming in. Because we are a very powerful entity. We have 20,000 people that evolve around our entity. I am fantastic when it comes to putting you back in office. That's the power that we have. So you're going to sit and come and speak to me? Yes. I can't openly say I support you, but I'll give you a picture on our Facebook page or a picture on our Twitter page, a page of me having dinner with you at one of your dinner events. Next time I come to you and say I need to build fields, we're going to build fields, aren't we? Yes, I think we are. Just let us know what you need. Playing out from the back with you eights, or going and sitting with all the council people. Go and sit with the mayor. So, we always, many times humans, we always shy away from the things we're not good at or the things we're not capable to do. So we would rather go out with a bag of balls and cones and pennies than do something that can be really impactful. When we were talking about contracts in 3 and 5 years, if you walk into a job interview with something like this, I'm thinking, wow, that person's good. If you walk in with a curriculum that's Bayern Munich's curriculum, everyone's doing that. Show me something that's unique to you and unique that you can help. So, a plan of action. So we talked about vision, mission, and goals. What is your vision? What are your objectives and aims? Are they different based on gender? Are they different based on age group? People mentioned talking about long-term development plans. 6, 7, and 8 isn't my job. Is it the romance stage, Bloom's taxonomy that Matt Robbins talked about? When I'm just making you fall in love. How do I define a strategy to achieve what my aim is in each age group? Our best coaches at our club all work in the younger age groups. Why? Because if they don't, we don't have good kids as they get older. Our best coaches who work in the younger age group get paid the most money. We don't pay people based upon how many kids you coach or the fact that you're coaching 11v11. We've got people coaching teams with 18 kids that get paid less than them coaching 77 and 99. Why? We think it's more beneficial for them to be placed where they are. How am I going to execute and implement my strategy? I have an idea, I have a concept. How am I actually going to do that? And do I have the ability, the experience, and the knowledge to revise as I go? Because in order for me to revise as I go, I have to monitor and evaluate what's going on. So how do I check the barometer of each of the areas where I need feedback from? Do I speak to players, parents, coaches? How do I know what's going on in my club? Because more often than not at DOC, you're the best coach in the club, normally. And then you get given the role as a DOC. Why? Because you're the best coach in the club. That's a different skill set. Being the best coach in the club is not the DOC that runs the club. Because you're now a business person, you're now a politician, you're now a leader. So if I ask all of you in soccer, how many of you did B's or C's or D's or E's or F's or A's? All of you in the room would probably put your hand up, Premier, Advanced National, National. But if I said to you, how many of you have been on a leadership course? How many of you have been on an accounting course? How many of you have been on a management course? Then there are very few of you in the room who have done that. Why? So you go from being a coach to coaching kids, and now all of a sudden you're a DOC. My organization, we have 20,000 people. We had an event, 3 weeks ago that had 20,000 people attend. So I'm a leader of 20,000 people. A good coach, ribs, balls, and cones, I can do that. But how do I lead 20,000 people? All the stakeholders that I have, volunteers, part-time, full-time, all the people that interact with my organization, how do I lead them? Just not this weekend. So, the things that I look at when I put a strategic plan together, what's the financial viability? I would love to hire Pep and Jurgen Klopp or Joe Ellis, but my money in my bank doesn't say that I can go ahead and do that. So even though I may have lofty plans, we're in the middle of negotiating with the city to build a $50 million soccer complex. How am I going to afford to pay for that? Because it has to be financially viable. I then look at the organizational structure. When I first joined the club, we had 146 board members and 12 board meetings a month, because the 12 individual clubs met monthly. How does that organizational structure fit in with where I would want the club or where you want your club in 5 years? How do I move it in that direction? We mentioned yesterday when we were talking about the option to change bylaws and constitutions. Are you willing to do one of the things we said where we would threaten a board member's kid, allegedly, with not coming back to the club in order for them to get them to vote in this particular way? It was for the betterment of the club, and it moved the club in a different direction. Is that okay? How does player development look? For many of you in the room, I'm sure you bang on about player development on a daily basis. How many of you actually do it? I'd love to do a test in clubs and just say, you know what? Over here, you're going to play 4v4 or 5v5, knock yourself out. Over here, you're all going to coach. And see which kids are better. I'd love to do that test. Because I think there's a lot of time when those kids over there would be better than what the people have been coached. So how do we know what we're doing is correct? You talk about Johan Cruyff. What did he say? 10% of stuff he learned from playing at Ajax, 90% of stuff he learned from playing in the street. So, how do I evaluate players? If there's no metric to evaluate, how do you know you're getting better? Yes, if I do a test from here to here and I run, after a year I've grown, I'm faster, my muscle strength has gone bigger, and I can get there quicker. So that makes sense. But what about soccer perspective? Coach education, I think it's vitally important. Right now, there are anyone and everyone who's doing coach education. One of the issues I have with some coach education is you have an individual who'll stand up and he'll talk about coach education, about how to do a specific thing. So my question always is, so tell me about your background, tell me about what you do. Nothing worse than having someone stand up here talking about running youth clubs that's never run a youth club. US Soccer's director. So, moving past that. So, you need people that have actually got information about how to run coach education. So you've got multiple entities, but you guys are probably well equipped to run coach education. You can take nuggets from this course this weekend where you can run a coach education. You can talk about the role play if that's something that excited you. You can set up scenarios, because I think that's one of the best ways to learn. Parent education, I think it's vitally important. The more parents trust you, the more parents feel that you're in the right place for their children, then we're not going to go anywhere. Recruitment of players and coaches. Right, I'm going to go over a few things, because as a soccer person, I love soccer. The other stuff we do sometimes gets a little bit, do you really want to talk about it? So I'm going to flip the presentation around. I'm going to give you about 25 minutes. I'm going to talk about soccer to end the course, because I think that's a nicer way than throwing bits of paper out. So, I will send you this. This is a matrix that I pulled together from Belgium, England, France, Germany, Italy, Holland, Spain. It talks about what metrics and what formations and what age groups they do, whatever the 11v11, 9v9. So, here, 11v11, most of them, I'm going to go from top to bottom. Belgium starts at U14, England U12-ish, U13 in France, Germany 11v11 all the way to 15, 11v11 U12, Holland U12, Spain U12. You get the idea? Now look down here. Belgium, 5v5. England, 5v5. Germany, 5v5. Holland, 4v4. So when I threw out the whole 5v5 thing initially, and everyone was like, this is where it comes from. I would prefer to follow that model as opposed to playing 4v4. So I looked at, so even though I have an entity telling me, the governing body in the federation, telling me to do it a specific way, I, as an individual, good or bad, choose to go a different way. So, when you look, you can take bits of information, nuggets from all over the world. I'll show you this one as well. So, one of the things we didn't talk about was age-specific training or moving kids into positions. So a lot of us get caught up with putting the kids in the best positions, i.e. U11, U12, because it does what? If the best kids play in their best positions, what normally happens? You win. But the conversation with the parents is, if I play the kids in different positions, if I play the centre forward, centre back, and we lose, then there's a conversation's got to happen that the reason I did it is so the centre forward understands what it's like to play as a defender and gets into the mindset of what a defender's thinking. That makes me a better centre forward. The other problem that you have to contend with is, how do you know where the kid's playing before we get into the specifics? If I put a kid right back, how do I know that that kid is right back and should be right back? So, just in case I may have lost some of you. So, Edwin van der Sar, remember him? Dutch goalkeeper, 120 caps or something. Edwin van der Sar was a centre forward until he was 14, 15 years of age. And they all get to the changing room on their game day. And the coach is like, oh, shit, goalkeeper's not here. Edwin, will you do us a favour? Here's the gloves, come and go for us. That was Edwin van der Sar's first time he played in goal. It wasn't bad, was he? So how do I, or you, or anyone know how good a player is in a position? What's the actual reason of why we're actually doing a specific position at such an early age? So, this is just, once again, they're talking about when they commit to a specific position. So when do I tell a kid that he's a right back or left back? When does the kid play in different positions? And I can share this with you. Italy, for example, they're not very good anymore, so let's not talk about them. So, up to U11, they're playing every position. Germany, everyone plays every position, including goalkeeper. So when your parents come back to you, the other thing about pulling knowledge and experience is, so at U9 and 10, everyone's going to play in goal. Andrew, you're crazy. Why you do that? Do you realize my kid's going to get? So we have those questions and we have those answers. Well, Germany, probably one of the best nations in the world at producing talent. Over the last 20 years, have produced more, got to the World Cup final more than anyone else, and having talent after talent produced. So in Germany, up until U11, everyone plays in goal. So, what do you think? Do you think that's a good model to follow? Parents like. Okay? So it's not Andrew. So if I can pull in information that I go from somewhere else and say, well, they do it, or this is the reason why, and this is my thought process, then I will give you this. It just talks about age, stage, and development priorities. For example, here, if I use Belgium, again, and a lot of this is similar. When you look at all the different countries, a lot of it's similar. We mentioned about the central nervous system, 7 to 11, being 95% complete by the age of 12. Work on movement, skills, and brain development. Foundation, face, and movement skills. Movement and skills development. Where are we here? Germany, tactical movement. Talk about technical skills. The foundation, technical skills, unstructured games. So when you actually look at all the best nations in the world that play football, a lot of the things are fairly constant. So they were talking about like Ajax playing tactical or talking complex tactics at 13 and 14. The other problem is our children, they say +2, -2, so if a kid's 12, he could be a 10-year-old soccer player or he could be a 14-year-old soccer player. So if I'm giving him extra complex tactical information, how do I know that the kid's actually taking it in? So I'm going to finish with this. I had the privilege of going to sports in Kansas, and I had the privilege of coaching one of their academy teams, their U17. So I was there for a few days, and I did some stuff with them. So we also do stuff like this at our club, which I'm sure you do at yours. So we lay out, before you actually play on the weekend, we send you a presentation. So every team at the club gets a presentation of how the team's going to set up. And this is what it looks like. So we announce the team of who's playing. We announce the formation. And this gets sent to the kids. That would be nice, wouldn't it? So you know, I think as a parent, you're not second guessing whether your child's going to start and dealing with all the issues when your child isn't starting. And in some cases, this is the team that gets sent. We then talk about what happens if we change formation. So we're playing against the back 4. How does that look? If the 4 gets the ball, we push the 10 on, the 9 slides onto the 5, the 6 goes in behind, and then we go to a 4-4-2. So we're trying to be a holistic training environment. We're trying to give the kids information away from the soccer field. So this gets sent out Thursday or Friday night. We talk about the different options of how to play against a team that's 4-4-2. You can put any formation in your life. And we talk about the goals of the game. For sport in Kansas, this is the goals of the game. So we have three thirds, as there is always 3 thirds. Attacking third, disrupt possession, collective defense, and we protect the goal. And it's something simple that all of them know. So you sit in a room and you talk to them, you talk about the goals of the game, and they'll give you like 3 of them back. I'm going to go through this very quickly. So, there are 5 vertical zones that they use. Pep Guardiola's got 22, which is a little bit complex. So this is simple for a kid. If the ball is in 1, you can leave 5. No one needs to be out in 5. So the outside fullback that Ryan was talking about, you can all be in 1, 2, and 3, maybe in 4, but definitely not in 5. So you have an option. I've seen people do colours where you go red, 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 green, green, blue, blue, yellow, yellow, yellow. So they have lanes, red, red, yellow, yellow for the zone. Does that make sense? Where you talk to the kids about colour zones. So you've got, this is the red zone. This was like red, yellow zone. where you talk to the kids. The FA are doing that now. Does that make sense, or have I lost you? Okay. We talk about what happens, centre midfield, the fact that there's a screen, the fact that where you're supposed to be. I'm going to move on. Areas we don't want the ball, areas we do want the ball. What happens if the ball goes into the fullback? Do we all squeeze? Which way do we want it? We want it inside here because we have numerical advantage. We don't want it outside. How do we defend centrally? And then as some of you in the room, we add in measurements. Pep Guardiola, when he was at Bayern Munich, was 33 yards from his back, centre back to his forward. So that gives you an idea of how pressed they were. So if you want to go 35 by 44 yards, the distance between the left back to the right back, 44 yards, the distance between the defence to the forwards is 35 yards, and can you actually lock the ball in? So how to do high-line confrontation? Real Madrid playing, so if one person goes, then we have a slight problem. Where do we actually push people, and when do we actually step? What's the trigger that makes them step? Then we push them in the funnel, and then we just step out. And it's just a simple little snippet where now you're watching football, medium line of confrontation, where you just sit, and Liverpool be not being very good, just put the ball in. Sorry. Low line of confrontation, want to like sit on the box. Same thing. This is a great game. More Chelsea for Liverpool fans in the league. So you sit on the box. By this time, Gerrard had slipped, and he gets a little bit frustrated, and he's shooting from miles out. So, as we call parking us. Anyone remember that game? High line of confrontation. What happens when we're really high and there's no pressure on the ball? Ball gets circulated, ball gets moved around, then they've got runners, and now they've got people in. But because Messi isn't as good as Ronaldo, he misses. Then we give this to the players. So, it's a fairly quick one. So we talk about where we're going to press on the field. This is 9v9, so this is a U11, U12. This is what we're actually sending to the players. So this is the area where we engage. We're trying to engage in the middle third. Once we decide to press, whoever the trigger is, we all got to go. And then we show them doing it in a good position. We show them the benefits. And we send them this. We can push it to their cell phones. We can push it to there. We also talk about the ability of fullbacks. Where would we like the fullbacks? These kids are 11 at the time. Left back, centre back, right back. How does that kid create an overload? So we get overload by the rotation of the two midfielders. So as the midfielder drops in, this right back knows that the time is going to go, and they start moving and creating overload. And then we talk about, the ability of back down to the philosophy of the club, the methodology of the club. We talk about the importance of a goalkeeper being able to play with their feet. Goalkeeper comes out, everything's calm, controlled, 11 years of age, we play, we pass, we move, people are running off the ball, we get people in. That was the kid that they said in England was better than the kids that were at their academy. Then, rather than just send them video of themselves, we also send them video of Manchester City, who are pretty good now, Liverpool. And we send them the video's got information that pops up, that are probably, some of them 7-8 minutes long. We talk about how to play out from the back, we talk about what the transition is, we talk about how we transition to defense. And back to Sporting Kansas. We give them what the goals of the game are. We also, knowing US soccer, we had US soccer there as well, we give you what US soccer's idea is. So a lot of that transfers into this. So we're talking about the 5-second mentality, make it compact, keep it compact. That's the same, but it's just different ways. Pressure, keep positions, pressure to play with the ball, cover and balance, that's the same, but that sounds far more sexy. Watch for the wrong body position. Not there. And then, we always try and get people to play. Because I have to, sorry, yes?
Why did they use 5 seconds instead of 6?
Don't know. Just, I think it's better. Trying to be different. Because 5v5 is better than 44. I don't know. And then this is sporting, so this is a little bit different. Because eventually, after all, we do this.
We're not done yet.
I hope you've had some fun this weekend. I hope it's been enjoyable. I hope you've learned a few things. It's nice to see you all this weekend. I appreciate you spending Labor Day with us. My email is there, my phone number is there, and I think Brian put his up. For the amount, the 2,500 people we've had through this course, every time someone's called me, I've returned a call. First time as normal, I won't return your call because I don't know who you are. But I will return your call. Email's fine as well. I'm here for 5 or 10 minutes. If you get to the point where you're asking me to change your club and it's 3 hours on the phone, then I start billable. I become billable. But 5 or 10 minute conversation, if I can help you in any way, I'd be more than willing to help you. Same with Brian. Brian's available. Matt is a professor, so he doesn't do shit. He just sits in all day. So I'm sure he's available. Any questions about anything you've had this weekend? I know there's been a lot of information. And I will upload the PowerPoints and I will send you access to the PowerPoints. I usually do it during like Brian's presentation, but I didn't have Wi-Fi today, so I couldn't do it. Sorry, one more last thing. Yes?
How come there's no South American models on all your numbers?
Because that was a European study. I could have said something else, but I didn't.
I was pushing that button. I wanted
No,
to
my favorite player growing up was Diego Maradona.
Okay.
So I loved Maradona, yeah.
That's a sweet Larry. I
Loved Maradona. I said I did my A license with a guy called Steve Hodge. Steve Hodge was the closest player to Diego Maradona when he picked the ball up before he went on an amazing run. And I said to Steve, why the hell did you tackle him? He said it was like 105 degrees. It was absolutely roasted. I looked, seen him and thought, there's 7 or 8 people behind me. There won't be a problem. As Steve was finishing, sorry, I digressed about Steve Hodge. As Steve was finishing the game, Steve Hodge looks across to Diego Maradona and goes, so Diego Maradona looks back and goes, so all of a sudden he gets swarmed by reporters of Steve Hodge. Walks off. He said, it was the American Idol, wasn't it? Yeah. So as they walked out, he said they walk around, he said the changing rooms are set up where you met in the middle. So as they walked out, Maradona standing there closest to you and I are. And he goes like that to Maradona. Maradona gives him his shirt. And Steve Hodge gets Maradona's shirt. Maradona gets Steve Hodge's shirt. I'm sure he still hasn't got it. So Maradona's jersey is in Preston North End, isn't it? It's at the football museum in England because Steve Hodge loaned it. And that's how the jersey came to be. Diego Maradona's jersey. Yes, sir.
If I may add that, is that I mentioned that because you mentioned John Cruyff, and he says that 10% was on Ajax and the 9% was on the street. Maradona had the same thing on his life.
Yeah.
Growing.
I wonder whether, and that's one of the conversations growing up in that culture and playing street football. We actually took the team we took to England. We played at Liverpool. We played soccer in the street. So the ball actually went over the garden, and we had to get someone to jump over the garden. That's a whole different conversation.
That's how the town know you, because you were right in there.
Yeah, and it was, but the problem is now we have 24/7 news television, and everyone thinks a nasty person is hanging on every corner. So therefore, how do you as a club, how do you as individuals replicate what was so good about street football? Because you live in such a structured society and you're structured coaching. that every time we're out there with coaching, why not just go? Because the biggest problem in America is I've consulted with many, many clubs. I've been to clubs and I've watched the kids arrive. So I get there early and I watch kids. Very few of the kids do anything until the coach arrives. I'm like, that's a problem, isn't it? And the coach turns up with cones, pennies, balls. You don't need one ball. And you don't need pennies. You don't need cones. So we'll see how creative the kids come when you go, you know what? Play. And when you see kids dragging, like, we played the other night, because we were periodization, we didn't want to do too much. So I'm looking around, said to the kids, you go and create a game. So they went to the baseball field, because that doesn't exist anymore, and they don't play that. And they brought trash cans, and they're playing trash cans, so they're playing a version of baseball cricket. Cricket. So they're playing baseball cricket, where they're playing a game where they're kicking a ball. And they're having fun, and they're having good laughs, and I'm like, okay, that's your game.
The best teacher's the game itself. Right?
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people say.
Yeah, we just need to shut up and let the game be the teacher. Right, anything from you guys? If not, then I am, yes sir.
Do you, are you guys on those PowerPoints for the class that you created for in the morning when they go to school?
Yeah, I can send you the template, yeah. I can send you what the school is.
That'll be nice.
Okay. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, how will we get access to the PowerPoints?
I put them in, I load them to a server and give you access to the server.
Awesome.
So. Anything else?
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.